Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back, and today we are joined by our first Survivor castaway from David versus Goliath, Karl Boudreau.
Bing!
Bing
There
himself.
it is.
It was like, how's Karl going to introduce himself here? There's no better way than just
Absolutely, man. You got to say Bing, That's what I'm known from.
That's it.
Yeah,
And this will be fun. We got to talk to Karl at all the finale festivities back in LA. Karl's the first person to ever play an idol nullifier, so we'll get to hear all about that. He was on the wrong side of the numbers in one of the first votes, and then goes all the way to final 9. So we'll get to hear about this whole story. You're the only one to actually go to Exile on this season. So for for somebody who might be a little overshadowed by the Christians of the world, and Nick obviously pulls out the win, so he's getting a big edit. Angelina had a huge edit, but you did more stuff than all of them. You were everywhere. You were all over this island.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool, man. I did my thing. I stayed low key for as long as I possibly could, but when I went into the game, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try to stay under the radar, try not to be noticed, whatever. But once you hit the island, the game starts and moves so fast. It's like that just goes out the window, So it was like I was somewhat still low key, but I was having to make moves behind the cameras. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. But I had alliances going. It didn't show obviously in the edit, but I had several different alliances. I mean, I guess I could say that's the only thing about it is the edit. After you do it all and then you watch it back on TV and it's like, well, wow, I don't remember that taking place like that, or when did that happen? You know what I mean? But it's all good. But I made as many moves as I possibly could, and hey, got to the merge, and I hope to go further, but it fell apart on me.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned the edit right away, because that was going to be one of our main questions talking about this. Was your edit was a little bit quieter, but you were part of some of the bigger moves, and then suddenly you were the villain. And I know when we were at the pre-finale party, your wife was giving me a hard time because she was saying that I was too obsessed with Gabby to realize that you were the hero here. And but I kept on calling you a villain, and then you watch your Ponderosa and you're fine, and even the way you exited, there was no negativity there. So what do you think it was? Did they just need somebody to go against Gabby and Christian at that point, you think?
At that point, I really think they did, because I mean, you had all the big characters going. I mean, Natalie's gone. She was edited as a villain. After Natalie was gone, if you really think about it, who else really was there besides maybe Natalia? But who else was it really that was just that, just had that whole villain persona about him? Really, no one. Not even, in my opinion, not even Angelina. I mean, Angelina was the sweetest person. Like, for her to be looked at that way, it's like, wow, you know what I mean? Because that was so not how that game played out the way Angelina's edit was, in my opinion. Angelina was she was the sweetest. Like I didn't have no problem with her talking about the rice. I didn't have no problem with her talking about a jacket, no nothing. She was making her moves. It just that's the way that they edited to look on TV. I mean, she wasn't doing anything different from anyone else on the island.
So how many people actually called you the Godfather? Did that really come out of nowhere, or was that building up?
See, that's the funny thing, is that literally I never once heard that, not a single time I was on the island.
Now it's your Twitter handle.
I mean, hell, I'm gonna run with it. Who doesn't want to be called the Godfather? You know what I'm saying?
It's a good nickname.
But at the same time, it makes sense, because again, I was low key. I was playing without everybody seeing the moves that I was making. Now obviously the David 5 knew, because I consulted him with everything that we were gonna do. That's why it was so funny to me when it came out that I was the Godfather, because every move that I wanted to make, I confided in Nick. I confided in Davey. I was not the only one who did not want Gabby to know about certain moves. David didn't want her to know about certain moves. Nick didn't want her to know. Hell, Christian was even on it without telling her. You know what I mean? But it just came out to where I was the one laying up in my hammock, telling them, let's do this, let's do that. That's no, it wasn't like that at all. I mean, when we were running 5 strong, we were all discussing what we were gonna do as a unit.
And what was it that made you guys want to leave Gabby out more than any of you? Was it, or were there certain moves that you wanted to leave Davey out of, Christian out of, Nick out of? It seems like you were always talking to Nick and Davey. What made Gabby less trustworthy or just less valuable to that group of five?
I can honestly say when it came down to that, I like to consider myself being able to read a person. And I could tell you right off the bat, I told them, I said, guys, Gabby is in Allison's pocket. Gabby is working tight with, I was able to see it. I went on a confessional, the last confessional before I got blindsided. And I told them in the confessional, if everything works out, this vote will get Allison out. And then we must move because Gabby is ready to flip on us. I told them that in my final, literally my final confessional. Of course, it didn't make air, but I told them that in my final confessional. And it just so happened she flipped the same, hell, maybe 3 hours after I done that confessional. We went to tribal. Gabby flipped. I was out of the game. But I told Davey and Nick that she was ready to flip on us because I knew that she was way, way too close with Allison.
Did they buy that?
They sensed it, but we all thought that we had at least one more tribal. We figured we had one more tribal. Nothing was never said on the island. You know what I mean? Christian never said anything. He played it cool with Nick and Davey the whole time. I mean, as you can see, if you go back and watch, you can see how shocked that Davey and Nick was. I mean, it was literally a blindside. We knew it was coming. We just didn't think it was going to be that vote.
Well, and it's funny because once you go, then that whole alliance goes until Nick wins the game because you go and then Gabby tries to go after Christian. Christian goes home and then, Gabby goes home and then Christian goes home and then Davey goes home. When you're sitting there on the jury after watching that, after knowing how you went home, like, what are you thinking going into the next vote? Because obviously you're not getting all the information. You're the newest member of that party. So, but like when you watch Gabby go home the next week or, 3 days later, like, were you shocked or were you saying, hey, they kind of took my advice or we knew it was coming anyway and she got caught?
I wasn't shocked at all because the whole time, if you don't know, the whole time I was completely David Strong. I mean, I knew that all I ever said was if we get the numbers, guys, we can't do nothing crazy. We get the numbers, we can ride all the way to 5 because they are not flipping. They are Goliath Strong. No one seemed to want to listen. But you go back and it's like, I'm not going to take my information from some half-sloshed guy. Okay, well, that half-sloshed guy, you know what I mean? Once you voted that guy out, everything crumbled. You know what I mean? Everything crumbled. And I knew it was going to happen. Davey knew it would happen. We knew it. Goliaths never showed that they wanted to work with us. That was the only vote that they worked with the Davids after the merge. That was the only single vote. Even after that vote, they went back to being Goliath Strong. That was the only vote. You know what I mean? Because Gabby came after me. Then comes Christian. Then comes Davey. Well, hell.
Yeah.
Keep me in the game and maybe it's Allison, then whichever other Goliath we want. And I mean, it's like the whole thing I kept saying. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say I got no freaking Survivor handbook. No, none of that. I'm not like none of those guys. But for me, it's like, let's worry about today and then we can worry about tomorrow once we complete today. That's how I am. I mean, that's just how I was. They wanted to think 2 and 3 votes ahead. Well, those votes don't mean anything if you don't get past this vote, but they're, and I love them. I love those guys. I love Christian. I love Gabby. We still communicate. But for me, it's like, you can't get there if you don't get past today. You can have a handbook that's 10,000 pages big. Once you step out on that island, all of that stayed in the water, basically. You know what I mean? Because that game, like, it's constantly moving. I say every second because I can be talking to you right now, Phil, turn, walk away and go talk to Alexa and be talking about something totally different. That game is constantly moving. So any strategies you come with, any of that, it's nonsense to me. You know, it's nonsense, and you don't have to overthink it. Think about the one initial thing and then go from there. But they wanted to, like I say, think ahead, and that's their game. We all played an individual game. But for me, it's like, no, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
And it's funny how that worked out because those two ended up following you right after that, three and 6 days later onto the jury.
Yeah, they didn't too much really want to see me when they walked in.
You guys sitting there with like a shit-eating grin on your face.
I mean, you know what I mean? I'm sure I probably had a couple of beers. Like I told y'all, just stick with the plan. Just stay strong. I mean, come on, man. Everybody can go back and look at that one episode and be like, what the hell are you guys doing? Y'all fought so hard to get the numbers. Why would you relinquish that behind some wanting to pat your resume or what have you? Your resume speaks for itself in that game, is the way I see it. I don't have to go out there and try to make no kind of certain big moves from my resume. It's going to speak for itself once you get to the jury. That's how Nick won, in my opinion. Nick didn't go out there and just be, you know, trying to show that he was making all these different moves. His resume spoke for itself. If Nick wouldn't have won those last 3 immunities, Nick would have got voted out as well. That's the only thing that saved Nick, because the Goliaths was not going to keep him around, period.
Yeah, this was, again, one of the questions you're going to ask a little bit later, but I think you and Alec are the two people who, I don't think we saw anything from you guys at that final tribal. Was there any like conversation that really tipped your vote in favor of Nick? Were you always going to vote for Nick? Because it sounds like you like you saw his resume build itself. But talk us through that final tribal and vote.
You know, honestly, I of course I played with Nick the whole time from the beginning on the David tribe. Me and Nick had an alliance. It was called the Rattlesnakes. Me and Nick would walk by each other. Literally, Nick had alliances with everyone. We would walk by each other and just throw up a, like, you know, without saying a word, like, you know. But it was so cool. But yeah, man, when we got to pre-merge, you know, me, Davey, and Nick, we connected. Of course, me and Davey connected from day one. That was like, it was like nothing had to be said. I looked at him, he looked at me, and it was like, you know, like, hey, I got you. Yeah. And that was basically that one little scene they showed me and him on the beach, whatever. That was basically it. Me and Davey really never had to say much to each other. We knew that we had each other's back, you know. But yeah, as far as the how did I know that I was gonna go with Nick? It was just, I mean, Nick did everything the right way. Nick had people on every single side. Nick was talking to, and I knew he was talking to everybody. But it didn't bother me because I knew that me, Nick, and Davey were David Strong. I knew it. It didn't have to be discussed, no anything. So it didn't bother me to see Davey walking off talking with Kara. Davey and Kara were real tight. It didn't bother me to see Nick walking off talking with Mike. You know, none of that never bothered me. The only thing that ever really bothered me was when I would see Gabby, because I knew that she was so vulnerable when it came down to that type of stuff. And Allison just it didn't take much to get her. I mean, the edits show that. But yeah, man, Nick played he played the best game. I mean, he outwitted everybody, he outlasted everybody, he outplayed everybody. He went to it was 4 people left, and he's the only David. You know, like I said, if Nick wouldn't have won those 3 immunities, they would have easily canned him. So he did what he had to do to get to the final 3. Besides that, I mean, he lasted. Why wouldn't I have voted for him? Mike played a hell of a game, but Mike's whole game was just social. Mike was sneaky. Mike had everybody as well. I mean, hell, I even sat and talked with Mike laying in the hammock or laying in the shelter. You know, Mike was a hell of a player. But for me, it was just like Nick did what he had to do to get himself there. Nobody brought him there. He did what he had to do to get himself there. And I mean, and then of course, you know, his story at the end, which I hadn't knew about that in the very beginning, because that's when Nick really opened up. I mean, I was one of the biggest advocates on voting Nick out very first tribal before Pat got hurt. I was one of the main people to come up with that, you know, and to see that guy go from wanting to be voted out very first boot to making it to final 3, I had to give it to him. It just showed how much his game evolved.
Well,
I could not vote for anybody else.
This is what I was going to ask you then. When did the rattlesnakes actually come into play? Because, for as quiet as you were early on, you had kind of sneaky material. You were the one who was planting it in people's heads of, why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? And actually, I thought that you were doing a really good job of it early on, because I think I had said that in the earlier podcast, the one that you and Gina unfortunately forget. But I think I had said early on, Karl's doing a really good job of making these people think it's their idea, but Karl's getting the people out that he wants out. Granted, then Jessica went home and then that didn't work out. But you were at least, you weren't taking the heat right away. And then obviously it catches up to you when you somehow become the godfather. But when did the rattlesnakes actually come into play? And do you think Nick would have gone home had Pat not gotten hurt?
In my opinion, in my estimation, if I could count the votes that I think we had, I seriously, honestly think Nick would have went home. Now, mind you, maybe a Christian or a Gabby might have would have chose not to vote for him or what have you, but everybody at that particular stage in the game, nobody wanted to be first boot. You know what I mean? So it's like at that particular stage in the game, you come up with a name, everybody's pretty much going to ride with it as long as it's not your name, So I don't think that, I don't think that anybody really would have wavered away from it, because it wouldn't have, it wouldn't have really mattered, because it would have been like, okay, I just survived the vote. I'm getting to the next, the next 3 days or what have you. So yeah, I honestly, I'd say from my standpoint, I'd say 98% Nick probably would have went home if Pat wouldn't have got hurt.
Crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, Phil, did you have a question?
Well, I was just going to say, so there's obviously so much to talk about in these first really 6 days for you, because up through the Jessica boot, that was a crazy one where you were again on the wrong side, and then you had the emotional confession afterwards. And but also what a lot of people missed, and what I think we should talk about now, is on that boat, you also got injured. And a lot of people miss this. And I know, obviously, if you're a huge fan and you go on Survivor Reddit, you probably saw, like, there's Karl holding his head. But so what happened to you? You told us. I know you kind of told us, but like,
actually, the whole thing started with me. I mean, we were on this freaking boat, and I own a boat myself, guys. I go fishing all the time. I love it. You know what I mean? But these particular boats, you go underneath and you can't see anything, and anybody knows who has anything to do with boats, you have to be able to see to be able to brace yourself, with the flow of the water. You know what I mean? So all I remember is we hit a humongous wave. I got thrown up in the air. I hit my head. I was knocked out cold. Knocked out cold. Oh my God. Literally. No exaggeration at all.
So you wake up on the beach pretty much?
Out of there. I wake up. We are back at the dock.
My God.
I see Pat at the back of the boat with a lot of freaking people around him. I'm just sitting there. I got 2 doctors on side of me. The rest of the cast is there, and they're like, guys, his eyes is rolling in the back of his head, and they're talking about me.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, like literally. Next thing I know, Pat's on the beach on a stretcher. If you go back and look, you'll see, if you look in the background, you'll see me being carried down that dock with a person on each side of me carrying me down the dock. It literally started with me.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, too, like, you're not there when Jeff's telling everybody, Pat's getting booted from this game right now. We have to pull him. Oh, and all that's going on. Like, where are you? What was going on with you?
I was still off to the side being tended to. I was still off. I was like off to the side on the beach being tended to by one of the doctors. If you realize, when I do get back in the shot, I got a jacket wrapped around me, sand all on my face and everything. Yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy.
So did they continue to check up on you after that? Because there's a threat of a concussion there, which I'm sure one day into Survivor is pretty dangerous.
Yes, actually, that night, Dr. Joe gave me some pain meds or what have you. And the producer that was there with us that night, she constantly checked on me, making sure I was good. And then the next day, of course, I would get checked in on by Dr. Joe or what have you until, but the whole time I kept telling him, I'm good. after it all took place, I really just had a headache. I had a real bad headache. I mean, I played sports. I'm sure I've probably been effed up in the head many times from having concussions. You know what I mean? But I just had a headache the whole time. But it was like I did not come this far to go out like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I can't do it. I just give me some aspirin, give me something, and I'll be fine. But no, the production, man, they literally, they go out of their ways to make sure that the cast are fine on every single level. That's one thing they do not play with is making sure that we guys are taken care of on every single level.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. You spend, and we'll eventually ask you about like your casting process, but you spend how much time getting there, going through the process, you're on the island, and then 3 hours in, you suffer this insane head injury? Like, are you just like, no, I gotta go?
This was actually day 3.
This was
day 3. You know what I mean? We had just finished the immunity challenge. We had just finished it. We were all down. We lost. You know what I mean? We're thinking we're headed back to the boat to our island, and of course, once you finish, they put you what they call lockdown. So once they say lockdown, you can't say a word. It's crazy because I'm like, fuck, I'm older than all these people, and I'm in timeout. You know, like, what the hell?
Banned me from recess.
But yeah, man, you go on lockdown. So we're all, we're already sad on the boat, because it's like, damn, we got to send somebody home. Like, it was crazy. And then when that took place, and next thing you know, Jeff come out, they're freaking airlifting poor Pat out of there, and he goes, well, there's no tribal tonight. And it's like, wow.
Did you really know what was going on at that point? Because I know obviously you had the head injury. Did you realize how bad of shape Pat was in, or were you just worried about you at that point? And then,
well, no.
Hearing
at that point, I came back. At that point, before they actually airlifted him out, I came back in. That's when you, like I said, you can see me with the jacket wrapped around me, and I was able to kneel down and talk to Pat. You know what I mean? Because me and Pat were close.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Pat were real close. Me and Pat built that freaking shelter, and that shelter lasted through every single cyclone, what have you, But I was able to go up to him and hold his hand, put my hand on his head, you know what I mean, say, I love you, man, even though I just met you, I love you, I feel for you, I'm sorry, you know what I mean, and well wishes to you, But it was crazy. It was crazy.
So you had Davey and Pat at the beginning, right? Who else were you looking to work with? Obviously, Jessica was in there. We kind of saw that, but like, who were you feeling comfortable with? And had David kept going to tribal, who were the people that you were looking at as, I can get rid of them, they're not as important to me, and this is my
me
life.
and B was pretty cool. I mean, me and B were real cool. I didn't have any problems with Christian or Gabby. It's just Christian and Gabby just clicked right off the word go. Those two guys, they just literally clicked right off the jump. I really didn't have problems with Elizabeth. Elizabeth and Lyrissa clicked. So it's like everybody kind of sort of paired off. You know what I mean? So it was at that point it was almost like, okay, which pair is going to join which pair to make the bigger alliance, because everybody was basically paired off. And that's just, that's kind of how it was. Like I said, I knew me and Davey was cool. Me and B was cool. I knew Davey and Nick were cool. I was cool with Nick. Lyrissa and Elizabeth, I was cool with them, but I was never aligned with them. Like I never connected with them. Never. Not sure why. I was, I was the oldest person on our tribe, and like for me, I'm just, I'm a straightforward person. Maybe I'm crazy because I was playing the game of Survivor, but it's like I'm gonna talk to you straightforward. I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat shit. Excuse me. You know what I mean?
You can swear. It's okay.
I'm not gonna sugarcoat stuff. I'm gonna talk to you. I'm gonna tell you what it is, how I feel about the situation, and that's that. Well, some of them, they just couldn't, they couldn't take my straightforwardness. That's kind of sort of, this might be on a different level, but that's kind of sort of why me and Elizabeth clashed, because me and Elizabeth were exactly the same. Like we were exactly the same. Both from Texas, both some cow people. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We both love horses. We both love the outdoors. That's basically why me and Elizabeth clashed, because we were the same.
And that's so funny, because before the season started, when Alexa and I are doing our power rankings and all of our fantasy games, I'm sitting there going, Karl and Elizabeth, both coming in with cowboy hats on. They're going to immediately connect. That's going to be your duo. And it's so funny that I was right. You were very similar.
Yeah.
That just doesn't work. There's not room for both of us on the island.
Maybe not when you're from Texas. Maybe not so much.
Actually, one of the questions I wanted to ask was about the bamboo cutting incident. Really quick, if you guys did go to tribal council on the first day, how do you think the vote breakdown would have been on like Nick versus Pat? Who do you think would have voted for Nick and who would have voted for Pat? And then I have a lot of questions about this bamboo bed.
On the first tribal, I don't know if anybody who ever said anything about voting for Pat.
Really?
I don't ever think Pat was even a thought on the very first tribal. Who would the other vote have been for? I honestly don't know, because I never heard anything around camp of no one's name other than Nick's name. And they say that I was the one pushing for Nick's name. I was not the only one throwing Nick's name out there. I threw it out there. Pat threw it out there. I mean, hell, B threw it out there. I've heard Lyrissa might have mentioned it. You know, like I said, the very first tribal, nobody really cared as long as it wasn't yourself. It didn't matter, you know, who it was. And the whole thing was, you know, we hit the beach and we were immediately, I mean, we were immediately working. We seen the clouds, you know. So we were trying to do everything we could to get this shelter built up. Well, Nick walking around with his lawyer coat on, you know what I'm saying? He really wasn't doing much, you know what I'm saying? And I told him later on in the game, I said, Nick, you was one lazy ass dude those first couple of days. Even in his confessional, I think he said, I'm not going to use my energy or what have you for this. I'm going to save my energy. Well, it almost got you out of here. Now, fortunately, thank God, fortunately you won, and I love it because Nick's my guy. I'm so happy for Nick. But yeah, I didn't hear any other names being thrown out for that first tribal. I didn't. I can't speak for the next person, but I heard no other name.
So it's funny because they directed us to Pat.
Yeah. They had to for the edit, right? To make it not feel as devastating.
Right. And I'm gonna say the only reason why they could have probably said Pat is because he was the only person that was really in the first couple of days. Pat was very outgoing. Pat would sit there and tell all these dad jokes, and you know, he was kind of sort of, you know, getting under people's skin, but you know, not in a bad way. It was like, oh my God, dude, bro. Like, if I could say it in my Alex voice, like, oh my God, bro. Like, really, can you just shut the hell up? You know what I mean? Like, we'd be laying in the shelter, seriously, and like poor Jessica be talking about, you know, how much she miss her mom, or Lyrissa can be talking about how much she miss her sweet Jessica, her mate, you know what I mean, or what have you. And it's like none of this stuff wouldn't even register to Pat. He just like talks over you, and you know, and just start telling some story about. Oh my God, we died. He started telling some story about how he donates $19 a month or something like that to the SPCA or something, you know, just to get the shirt. You know what I mean? Just to get the T-shirt. You know what I mean? That's the nice shirt. Oh, it was so hilarious. Pat was just a constant. I mean, he just go. And of course, these younger ones, you know, they're like so freaking annoyed by it. It was hilarious for me. I was laughing. You know, I would lay back in the back and just sit there and die laughing. But yeah, Pat was a character, man. That dude, I wish that dude could have been on a whole lot lower. That dude had a huge personality about himself.
Well, and it seems like had he not gone, from what you've said, yes, we would have lost Nick as our winner, which obviously is a huge difference. Right. But it seems like things would have probably gone very differently for that tribe early on. It really does feel like that one thing happens. Then you have your 4-4 split the next vote with Nick going to the other side to vote out Jessica. And at this point, were you feeling good about Nick, or had you not really bonded with Nick yet? So like this was really shocking because, I mean, we saw Karl cry tears the day after that.
I had bonded with Nick at that point. You know what I mean? So when that happened, I wasn't the only one upset about it. I mean, Davey was upset about it as well, you know, because I was like, we were like, what the hell happened, But I have to give props to Gabby on that, because that showed that Gabby was playing early on. Gabby, one thing, poor Gabby was playing, but unfortunately for Gabby, she was so much under Christian's shield that everything she was doing, he was getting the credit for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to go back to that, yeah, man, me and Nick, we had discussed it. We had talked about it. So we knew, we just knew going into that tribal that Lyrissa was going home. And then Gabby and Elizabeth, I give them 2 props on that. Gabby and Elizabeth, they managed to get Christian and Nick to flip it and send Jess home. And for me, yeah, it hurt it, because of course that was like, I'm like, freak, where do I go from here? That's 2 people from my immediate alliance already gone. You know, I'm like, holy crap, what, like, damn, this game is moving, that's what I'm thinking. Like, man, I mean, literally 2 of my strongest people in my alliance are gone, just like that. So yeah, when I had that confession, and of course, I'm gonna be honest, I'm emotional. I'm not like Gabby emotional. I'm behind closed doors emotional. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna show it to everybody. Like, nobody in the game ever seen me shed a tear. Nobody in the game never seen me shed a tear. The only time I shed a tear was when I would go on a confessional or something of that nature. Well, it's just me and a excuse me. It's just me and a producer. I'm talking to this person one-on-one. He may ask me a certain question, which get to me, and before you know it, fuck, I'm on thousands of miles away from my wife and kids. I'm feeling it. I don't know what's going on. I'm the man of my household, so I don't know if everything's okay back home. That's always on the bottom of my mind. I never left them like are they okay? But for Jess being so young, I have a 22-year-old, and my youngest daughter just turned 18 the day after Christmas, on the 26th of this month. She just turned 18. You know what I mean? So
well, happy belated.
It's like Jess fit right in the middle. I knew right off the bat it was no way in hell that girl was 22 years old. That's what she was telling us. But I can look at her, I'm like, it's no way in hell. No way. But then she confided in me and Pat and told me and Pat, guys, I'm only 19, but don't say anything. She was so emotional from the very beginning. Like, she was missing home as well. She was missing home. And for me, she reminded me of home. It was like that was the only thing I had that I could, look at like damn, it's pouring down raining outside. We have no freaking cover. So it's like, I'm like, I gotta protect this girl. You know what I mean? Like that's my daughter standing on that street corner with no protection. You know what I mean? It's kind of how I felt as far as Jess went. That's why that connected like that. It was like, she's poor thing, she's sitting there shivering, and it's like, there's no way my father instincts kicked in, and it was just like, I don't care about the game. I don't care about them, seeing that I'm close with this kid. No, none of that. I just immediately knew I had to try to protect her some kind of way. And of course, the others seen it as, a connection between me and Jess, and that's, eventually how they got her out of here.
I got a nosebleed, so I'll be back.
I got you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I
couldn't tell you were inches away from sneezing. Well, I mean, so you lost Pat, and then you lost Jessica, and then you said you had a connection with B, and then you lose B. And then right after that, well, did you know that that decision was coming? We only saw so little of that.
We had discussed it. We laid around camp and we discussed it, and excuse me. We knew that her knee was not doing well for her. We knew that, you know what I mean? So we laid around and we discussed it. In fact, we had some heated discussions about it, because Nick was like, well, B, don't just quit on us, you know what I mean? If you just quit on us, then we lose yet another person. Let's at least try to go and see if we can't win the immunity or what have you, but it got real heated that night as far as that went, because we didn't want her to leave. I mean, we were already down on the numbers, they were already crushing us at the challenges, and it was like we're just giving away another number. Like, what is this gonna do for us? You know, we were thinking on the long term front of it, of damn, if we keep losing Davids, whenever we do make it to the merge, they're gonna have us. I mean,
Yeah, just walk right
like
past you guys.
right, they're gonna just. I mean, it's gonna be freaking 8-5. You know what I'm saying, at the merge. Like, what are we gonna do? You know, but. Yeah, but we knew, you know, ultimately we knew that her knee, she just couldn't do it. I understood it. Was it hurtful? Yes, because I don't like to quit. I don't like to quit at anything I do. If I goddamn started, I'm gonna finish it some kind of way, you know. But that being, you know, her profession needing, you know, all her body parts, what have you, I understood it, you know. But yeah, it was hurtful when she had to quit, especially for me. Hell, it got me sent to freaking Exile.
Yeah, so that was gonna be my next thing. You lose 3 people in a row, and then you get sent to go sit by yourself on Exile. And we only saw like 2 minutes of it, and it was mostly about the nullifier. But what was it like being there? How long were you there for? Talk us through Exile.
I was there for literally almost a full 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, like for me, honestly, Exile was probably the best thing that could have happened for me. Honestly, as crazy as that sounds, because for that day and a half, almost 2 days, like I didn't have to really worry or stress or do any of that. I was able to just sit back, you know what I mean, and just gather all my thoughts about how was I gonna approach it when I get back in the game. I didn't have to do no strategizing with nobody, you know, worried about if I'm gonna get voted off this go round, what have you. I knew that I was gonna be replacing somebody that would get voted off, you know. So it was relaxing for me because I was able to just kick back and I got pictures of it, man, on my phone of me at Exile by myself, like literally just sitting in my shelter. I got a fire going. I'm literally just sitting there, just chilling the whole time. What's funny is I told of course they don't talk to you, they don't talk back to you or nothing like that. But I told one of the yeah, I told one of the camera people, the camera lady that had the camera that night, I said, I don't know what to tell you, but you're not going to get any footage off of me because I'm just going to lay here and I'm not saying a word. You know what I mean? Like, and literally, I would lay there and just gaze off into the sky. There were these 2 little baby goats literally would come out of the freaking mountain and come down and just stand right in front of me as I'm sitting in my shelter at Exile. And they would just sit there and chill. Yeah, they would just sit there and chill. And it was like, I'm good. I mean, a country boy, I got some goats in front of me. I don't have nobody messing with me. You know what I mean? Yeah, I was chill. I was chilled on Exile. I loved Exile. It was peace for me.
Yeah, that sounds like a resort.
Oh, yeah, it was peace. It was peace.
So
yeah.
When you saw how the tribes got divided, when you went, where did you want to end up?
You know, it wasn't nowhere I wanted to end up. I honestly thought that I was going to end up on that Jabini tribe. Honestly,
I think everyone did.
It was no way I seen them beating the Vuku tribe or the Tiva tribe. I was like, okay, you got Davy and Alec. They're both athletic. You got John and Dan. I'm not going to even count Christian, but you got John and Dan. They're both athletic, you know, and then you got Mike and Nick. Like,
yeah, that was that was tough.
Oh my God. I literally just knew I was going to be on that Jabini tribe. And then when I go, because I sat in for that tribal council, and as I'm sitting there and I'm watching it unfold, and I'm like, holy crap, like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm watching Alec look back and forth at Davy, and you know what I'm saying? He get up and he tells Elizabeth something, and Natalia's sitting there freaking out. And I'm talking, this is all live, and I'm like, no way. Like, no way this is going to happen. It's what I'm thinking the whole time. Like, no way they're going to let me and Davy get back together with Elizabeth as well. Like, take over the numbers. No way. And sure enough, I don't know what or why Alec did it, but Alec was a firecracker. I'm not sure why he did it, but he did. When he voted Natalia off, oh my God, if y'all could see her.
What was that like?
After
What was
oh
watching her walk
my
out?
God, my mouth literally dropped. She looks at Kara and she goes, "You knew about this, didn't you?" And Kara's like, "Me? No, I didn't know. I didn't know anything." Like she was scared. Like Natalia wanted to turn around and come and whoop her. You know what I'm saying?
She looked like she was gonna smack her.
Oh my God, she was hot. She was hot. And as soon as it took place, Davey looked at me and I looked at him and we just winked at one another and it was like, yes, we're back together. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was cool. But I just honestly thought I would be on the Jabini tribe. Honestly.
Yeah, walking and seeing Davey. I mean, that's you partner up with your best guy after that. So
Right,
that's huge.
Right.
But so when you're on Exile, before we get to the Vuku tribe, how did you find the nullifier? Was it, I'm sure it took way longer than what we actually saw. What was it like finding something that never existed before?
When I read that little riddle thing, whatever, you know, I immediately knew, okay, it had to be a coconut, falls out of the tree, the tide, the roll, whatever, you know.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I
it was
literally,
water, yeah.
yes, I immediately ran out to the beach because I was on the trail, you know, going to the shelter. So this was on the middle of the trail. So I immediately turn around, run back to the beach, you know, and I get down to the beach by where all the rocks is because it was a rocky point all the way to like the end of the beach. So I mean, I'm hauling ass trying to get down there, and I get there and I see freaking coconuts everywhere, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'm finding this thing. I mean, I immediately jump in the water and just start taking coconuts and just heaving them back to the sand, you know, as many as I possibly could, until finally, you know, it got to the point to where it was like the water was just getting rougher and rougher, and it was like, you know what, I'm out of breath, I'm done. And I started walking back up towards where I had threw all the coconuts I had, and as I was walking back up, that's when I spotted the one that was marked for me to, like, I never even had to go in the freaking water that deep to get them because this one was closer up by the shore, you know. But immediately you're not thinking that in the middle of it, you know, you're going off of what the riddle says, you know, and you're trying to make sure that it don't float away with the tide. So I immediately, like I said, jumped in the water. Otherwise, I would have just casually strolled and went and straight and picked it up. But I never seen it until I decided to come out of the water because I was tired. I was winded. I had nothing left in me, you know, and spotted it, which for them it made for good TV. You know what I mean? Because who wants to see me just walk straight up to it and find it? It's no fun in that, you know. But I literally searched for it. Like nobody pointed it out and said, "Oh, Carl, look, it's right over there." You know, like none of that never took place. You know, I literally had to search for it. So it wasn't just a gimme, shall I say?
So I'm gonna hop back in. Nosebleed over. Is that unprofessional to get a nosebleed in the middle of a?
No, man. It is what it is.
It was pretty seamless. We handled it well.
We gave, thank you both for keeping it together there. I have to go back and now listen to the podcast. So okay, I'm assuming I came in the middle of the coconut talk. So what I'm going to ask is, since this was a new advantage, and this is something I said in the recap episode for that week, since this is a new advantage, it's a cool idea to have the coconuts floating in the water. Like, you know, that's great. And it puts the excitement into you of, oh my God, I got to get this right away. Do you think there's ever any chance, though, that the producers are letting that thing float out into the ocean? Not saying that they're going to come out and get it, but the reason why it was so close to shore is like they need it to be like the last coconut that's
well, yeah, I honestly don't think. I think I would have found it no matter what. You know what I mean? How can you throw a new twist in the game if the twist is never found? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I mean, we were told, you know, before it even started that there's gonna be a new twist in the game. We didn't know when it was gonna come. We didn't know, you know, at what point, how, no, none of that. But we were told that it's possible that there's gonna be a new twist in the game. So we knew about it, but so it would have been possible if, you know what I mean, you let it float out into the Fijian Ocean. Like, what the hell? You know, what happened to that twist? Oh, well, let's read this. You know what I mean?
And my question to you then is, when they tell you there's going to be a new twist, is your mind running 100 miles an hour of like, what could that be? Is that ever in your mind? Or are you just saying, screw it, it'll happen when it happens?
You know, actually, I never ever thought about it, man.
Mhm.
I honestly didn't. Like when I first started out, hell, I went out looking for idols and all of that. I like how they show them finding those idols, make it seem so freaking easy on TV. Like, I mean, you got freaking jungle everywhere, literally everywhere, and it's like the one Davey found on the David Beach was like. I'm thinking to myself, I remember walking past that, literally, like no lie. But I'm thinking to myself, like, how in the hell did you spot that string wrapped in all those freaking vines? Like, how did you even get the time to spot something like that? You know what I mean? Because I went looking and I'm digging and I'm reaching and I did all of that, but sneakingly because you didn't have much time to go out and look for stuff like that, you know? So when you went, it wasn't like you were going to be gone for 30 minutes just casually. No, you had to do it real fast when you were going looking for idols, you know? So it was like I constantly looked, had no luck, but finding the nullifier, it was a trip, man. When I first read it, I can be honest with y'all. When I first read that thing and it said what I had to do to play this successfully, my first thoughts was, fuck, I got a lot of fucking intel that I have to get in order to make this work. Yeah. I mean, like, you got to know who has an idol. You got to know when they're going to play the idol. I mean, you know, like, how many times in 37 seasons have you literally just know who has an idol and when they're going to play it? I mean, literally.
And who they're playing it for.
And who they're playing it for, exactly.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I had to put in a lot of work.
And I'll be honest, like, this worked out the first time. You were able to pull it off. You had the good connections where everybody was kind of sharing information. You also had Dan, who was sharing way too much information.
Oh my God.
Too many people.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that, yeah. But so that's all going on. This worked out perfect. They could use this the next 10 seasons and never once have it played right ever again. Right. This isn't like an idol where it can just be played right. And now that people know it exists, somebody like Dan is going to keep their mouth shut when they only have one idol because they want people to think they might have two idols. So you have a nullifier on.
That's what I said. Like literally, I sat the other day, man, and listened to the Christian podcast that he had with Rob for 3 freaking hours. Like, I'm not sitting here talking to you fuckers for 3 hours. I can tell y'all that right now.
But 1.5 hours.
No, I'm joking. But like he asked, like Rob asked him about it. You know what I mean? And it's like he was bashing it in a sense. You know what I mean? And it kind of hurted me. You know what I mean? Like
this is my thing.
Like, yeah, like why would you do? But I can go on about that. But the whole thing is like everyone wants to. And I love Christian to death, man. But like everyone wants to go off of his survivor handbook or hand guide. And it's like, what makes his freaking survivor handbook so special? He didn't win. Mm-hmm. Like, what makes him the ultimate best knowing how to play survivor guy? Well, and that part has been killing me so much. It's like everybody wants to get what they can get out of his head. It's like, bro, he didn't win. His game was not A1. Like, you would have been the second person voted out after the merge, literally. Mm-hmm. If me, Nick, and Davey wouldn't have done the things we did. So what makes all these people, you know, Christian is Christian. I watched the freaking tweets and you know what I mean? The comments on the bottom of like the freaking podcast. I look at everybody loves it. I love Christian to death, but can somebody please tell me what makes him the greatest survivor player ever when he was saved constantly to get to the boot that he did make it to? You know, and I know I got off topic there, but
no, and I'll tell you what it is. It's because he's the fan favorite. So like fan favorites are always considered better players. I mean, and I wasn't out there. I don't know how much Christian did, how much Christian didn't do, but I saw him being told a lot of information. But it's the same way. If you ask somebody who's a better player, Rupert or Johnny Fairplay, everybody's going to tell you Rupert's a better player. If you ask like a casual fan, and Johnny Fairplay runs circles around.
Absolutely.
Rupert. It runs circles. And that's the difference is when you have a fan favorite, and this is why, why I was so defensive of Gabby. So please tell Gina that it wasn't at your expense. It was more because everybody was saying she can't do anything. She can't do anything. She can't do anything. Everybody gets mad at Laurel last season for not making a move. Gabby goes to make the move, and everybody hates Gabby because she tried to make the move on Christian. So it's the whole fan favorite thing. Look, if she tries to make that move on you, they go, who cares? It's just cool.
Well, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, which is a shame, and that's exactly what happened. She votes you out, and everybody goes, wow, that was a good move. They had to get rid of the Godfather. The next week, she goes to vote out Christian, and everybody's like, oh my God, this girl's a crybaby. We hate her. Get her out. It's that edit. It's, Christian. I mean, we talked to Christian a lot at the finale stuff, and he's a great guy. You instantly you just fall into his trap of he just tells you these stories, and you're like, oh my God, everything he's saying is fantastic, and you just want to know more. And I think that
he charms you with it. I mean, he's very, very, very intelligent guy. But Survivor fans, don't play like him. Like he was saved. I mean, literally. Period.
Alec saved him once. You saved him once. I mean,
he was saved 3 or 4 times. He was saved. He would have been second boot after the merge. For me, that's not somebody I want to look at their journal and say, oh, I want to do this, that. No, because you didn't. You didn't make none of those moves on your own. We made those moves for you. You would have been going home, literally. And then how much of a fan favorite would you have been, because you would have never got to the point to where Gabby wanting to flip on you. You would have never got to that point. You know what I'm saying? So that you wouldn't even be a topic at hand when it comes down to that, because you would have been gone second boot, period.
Yeah. Well,
I just don't like it. It gets to me. I love Christian. I love him to death, no doubt about it. But that part gets to me because the fans have no clue. Like they pay attention to what took place. It's someone that has the best game. He don't have to get saved that many times by that many different players.
Yeah.
We saved him for our purposes, not for him. We saved him for our purposes as the Davids, and that's another reason why it hurt it, is because we saved you for us to keep us strong, and you go off and do that, and it's like a slap in the face. And it says, on top of the fact, here's another thing, on top of the fact, you vote for who you want to vote for to win. No doubt about it. But it's like everything that Nick did for you, and then you give your $1 million vote to Mike. You know what I mean? Like what the hell? Like, screw you, Nick. Thank you for saving me, but screw you. I want Mike to come on, man.
And why do you think he did that? What was because we didn't really see much. I was surprised Mike got any votes, let alone 3. And it was 7-3. And we were there at the finale, and I'm like, oh my God, that's 3-1. And Alexa turns and looks at me. She's like, are you kidding me right now?
Exactly. When I seen it, my mouth dropped. I was like, I knew Allison and Kara, obviously. I knew that, they were strong. They were tight. And then you take John and Dan, well, they were out so early to where they didn't really get to, continue to play with everyone. And John, Dan, and Elizabeth, I can honestly say, John, Dan, and Elizabeth, I was concerned about those 3 votes. I felt that my instincts would not allow me to try to figure out where their votes might have went. You know what I mean? Because they were gone so early. So it was like, once you go to Ponderosa, it's like the only information you get is from the next person that comes out. You really don't know what else is taking place. You go to the tribal council and you hear them talk and this and that, but we all know that tribal council is really just fucking blowing smoke in the air. You know what I mean? Literally, you're saying whatever you need to say to try to take the target off the person that you're actually gunning for or what have you. So you're not, in my opinion, you're not really gaining much information when you go to tribal council that night. So you only get what that person that's voted out can tell you what took place while y'all were on the island, whatever, what have you. So for me, it was like, I don't know where John, Dan, and Elizabeth's votes are gonna go. Okay, so that's 3 votes. I'm thinking, okay, I know Karen, Alec, and Allison, they have to vote for Mike. They've been riding with Mike since day one. Me and Davey, I know my vote's going for Nick. I know Davey's vote's going for Nick. I just assumed Gabby and Christian gonna vote for Nick. I mean, we rode together, and then to see those votes come out of there, it was like, wow.
Well, and that's what's crazy is we've seen so much on the internet to now, especially from Davey with your elf on a shelf thing, which is just absolutely hilarious. I mean, that was we had to do one of those for work one year, and God, this one was better, but it's just so funny, especially with your face all stern and stuff, sitting there with this elf who's dancing and waving. But everybody's playing up. These were my day ones. This was my alliance. These were my 5. This is all of that. And when only one of your 5 is sitting there, it feels like it should be an easy vote.
Like automatic. You got to why would you go any different away from one of your 5? Why would you? But I was speechless when it happened. I'm speechless now because I still can scratch my head like, why? I mean,
Well, we see walking into that final tribal, I think it's Elizabeth who says most of us are undecided. And like you said, it was the early people who you weren't so sure of.
Right.
And when the final 2 jurors, it sounded like they were going to vote for Mike regardless, even though Mike and Allison had that whole spat as she was going.
Right.
I thought maybe since they I feel as though the final 2 jurors, they have the most information of what was on the island, so maybe there was some influence there, and maybe that's where it came from. But from what we read, Christian and Mike had a secret relationship that no one really knew about.
Yeah. Obviously, they must have did, but I still, secret relationship or not, is still no way. You know what I mean? That you can explain to me of why you would give him your vote over Nick. But that's me. I mean, I'm a loyal person. You know what I mean? That's one thing about my gameplay on the game. I'm loyal. If I say I'm riding with you, then I'm riding with you. I mean, it's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know what I mean? That was the whole thing for me. Maybe that was bad gameplay. Who knows? But I stayed loyal because I seen that they weren't budging. They were not moving. But if I start with you and we get this far together, then you can rest assured that I'm gonna be there to hold you down, pick you up, whatever. So that's kind of how I felt with the whole Nick thing. Like I started from the bottom with you, and you made it here. You got my vote. I mean, on top of the fact, like I said, if Nick wouldn't have won those last 3 immunity necklaces, Nick would have been sitting on the jury with me. There's no way he would have won. He would have been sitting on the jury with me because they would have easily got rid of him. Easily. So he did what he had to do to make it there, to earn my vote. I mean, period. I didn't, nothing against Mike, but I didn't see anything that Mike did. I didn't see nothing that Mike, Dan even called him out in tribal council, in final tribal. Dan called him out. Dan said, you didn't do anything. Nothing. You floated. You basically just jumped from person to person. You basically floated your way because you were behind the scenes being this person's friend and that person's friend, and you didn't do anything. Nothing. You didn't help with nothing around camp. You didn't do nothing.
Do you think after, right as you guys are voting, or after Jeff says, all right, I'm going to take this back to the U.S., do you think Nick had it? Like, do you think after all 3 of their performances, it was clear that Nick had it, or were you still unsure?
Well, unfortunately, we all knew that Angelina didn't get a single vote at that point. We knew that. You know what I mean? Yeah, we knew that much. Unfortunately, because I love Angelina. But yeah, I kind of felt like he had it. Like I said, I was still a little uncertain, but I was pretty close to thinking, okay, yeah, it's not going to be nothing less than 6-4 for Nick. You know what I mean? Like I can see Mike getting 4, but Nick has at least six votes. He has at least 6. So yeah, I pretty much felt like he had it. But one good thing that we did is I don't know about previous seasons, but like we literally, and I can't speak for the rest, but we literally kept our votes to ourselves. Which is like cool. Literally. Like when I sat there in that final in that reunion for Jeff to read those votes, like it was shocking for me because I honestly had no clue on who voted for who because we didn't share that information with one another, which was cool because it's like, who wants to go through all of this and then, all right, I know who you voted for. You're being able to count the votes, so it's like automatically we know, oh, okay, we know Nick won. No, I was assuming, I was hoping, you know what I mean? But I did not know for certain sitting up there on that freaking stage that Nick had won for sure. I didn't know.
Yeah, it makes it more pure because now, I mean, obviously everyone communicates, and I don't know about previous seasons. You would know better than I would, but Phil and I both noticed this when we were watching at the finale. Every time Nick won an immunity, his family was freaking out and like jumping up and down. And I figured once Allison left, it was probably going to be Nick who won. And it was just so cool that like nobody knew, and his family clearly didn't know. It was really cool to watch it from their perspective.
Yeah. That's why I say if he wouldn't have won those immunities, he wouldn't have made it that far. Period.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and so who was your ideal final three? And then going back to Christian, if Christian gets there, does he win because of his social game? I know you've said a lot now, obviously, about his strategic game, but in terms of his social game, do you think he pulls it out, or what if he had to sit next to the right people?
I guess it would have depended on who he sat next to. I mean, I don't think it was just a sure thing for Christian to win. Again, everybody loved Christian, but I don't think it was just a sure thing for him to win, because even if he got there, okay, and then you still have the situation of us using our advantages to save him or what have you, and he make it there, correct? Right? Mm-hmm. It's like you're still sitting there and you're thinking, okay, say he's sitting on side of Allison and Kara, and it's Christian, that's your final three. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, we did everything we did to keep him in the game. Okay. Then he turned around and burned us, whatever. For me, I can't say I would have gave him my vote, because like I said, I'm loyal, and I would have felt like, okay, you did what you had to do to get there, but you freaking burned me to get there. No, I'm not voting for you. Like, no, like I don't like you. You know what I mean? Like, you screwed my game, But yeah, I don't necessarily think Christian would have just was a shoe-in to win if he made it to final three. I don't think so. He was well liked by everybody, no doubt. But it's not about just being liked by everybody. It's showing what you did in the game. You know what I mean? And he had he won the one immunity with Alec when they stood up there for 6+ hours. Yeah. That was freaking awesome.
Talk to us about that.
Well, shit, I had nachos and drank some beer.
That's right.
So
how far into that challenge did you guys run out of food and marks?
Oh, when we seen they were still going, we probably finished after we seen they were still up there, like the all of the bulk of it, we had to scarf it, me, Nick, and Angelina, but we probably took about an hour to eat everything. Nice. You know what I mean? Because we were literally taking our time, as we say, because freak, at an hour, it was still 4 or 5 of them left up there. You know what I mean? So it was like, oh shit, well, we got time, me and Angelina cheers into the future, and you know what I mean?
That was funny.
But yeah, it was cool, man. It was hot as hell out there. I don't know how those kids did that. Literally, I don't know how they. When I walked out there, of course, I hadn't already. That's another thing. What kind of upsets me is, all right, that episode and the episode I got voted off were thrown into 2 episodes that night. Correct?
Yeah.
So these people call themselves Survivor people, Survivor fans, whatever. But yet they're trying to give me a hard time, thinking I got voted off because I chose to sit down and eat nachos and drink beer. And it's like, idiot, pay attention. My vote off is like the next week. You know what I mean? Like, they put 2 shows into one. Yeah. Like, use your head. That was something totally different. Those nachos and beer had nothing to do with me getting voted off at all, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, man, that shit was good as hell. I was hungry too. I ain't gonna even lie. And drinking that beer, and it was hot. Me and Nick laid underneath the bench.
Oh, we saw it.
Taking a snooze.
Christian was just oh my God. Jeff, he looked like he was just like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? like literally, like he was there the whole time with us. Like, it was never no time out, no nothing. Like, no nothing. It was crazy. I'm laying on the bench telling Christian, concentrate. He goes, Carl, this is my concentration. Yeah. You know what I mean? I got you, babe. And I shut up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And hey, if that's what you, and it worked for him. I don't see how he did it. When I seen it, I was like, I'm sitting out. I'm not even going to attempt it. Not even going to attempt it.
That was going to be my question. What led to the decision to
I knew it. Well,
did it just look hard?
Honestly, I want to say the challenge before that, when we were holding the bags up in the air, when Dan got cocky and tried to, what y'all got over there, bro? Chachos, I got 3. I mean, you know what I'm saying? When he lost that one, well, on that challenge, my back like literally started spasming like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, it was like every day, okay, we're still sleeping on this freaking bamboo. But after that, it was like, man, like this is not good. You know, of course I wouldn't tell none of them that, but I'm like, man, this is not good. You know, and I've always had little minor back problems, whatever, driving a freaking 18-wheeler all day, every day. You know what I'm saying? Bouncing up and down. So, but when I had talked to them, I talked to the David Five. Well, the David Five talked. And I told him, I said, guys, look, I'm beat. I haven't had any rewards. I haven't had any food. The only thing I have been eating was the rice, other than when we had the merge feast. That was it. And I told him, I said, do you guys mind if we go on a challenge or immunity and Jeff offers food, do you guys mind if I sit out? And all four of them gave me their blessing. They're okay, and said, no, Carl, we understand. You know what I mean? If you don't think it's something you can win, yeah, sit out. Now, mind you, if you think it's something you can win or challenge at, you know, then don't. We need you. You know, we need one of us to win the necklace, you know, especially that particular challenge, because it was like we hadn't already told ourselves we wanted to get Alec out. We hadn't already had it planned and everything. If Alec loses this immunity, we're gonna get Alec out. So, but to make a long story short, when I seen it, I was like, there's no way. There's no way I can stand up there, and it's no way. Yeah.
So another thing, now that we're talking about challenges, you were like the sole guy for the David tribe who was always running like the solo portions of challenges. What do you like? Why was that? And it not saying that you weren't good at them, but you looked like you were dead every time you got to it.
I can promise you that very first challenge, very first freaking challenge, very first one, when I had to try to dig under the sand and all of that.
Yeah.
Oh, it killed me. It whooped my ass. Guys, I quit smoking like 3 days before I left to go to Fiji. You see what I'm saying?
Powers move.
Like now it didn't bother me. Like the not smoking didn't bother me, but I was winded. You know what I'm saying? That was the only thing. Like that first challenge whooped me. That was the only thing. But as far as to answer your question, I don't know, man. I'm fast. I'm still, you know, athletic. You know what I mean? But I honestly think that they were scared. You know what I'm saying? The other guys, I honestly think they were scared. It was just like the challenge where B tries to do the ladder thing, like, but none of them wanted to step up. You know what I'm saying? And for me, at that was the second challenge. For me, it was like, I'm not going to say anything because I just freaking sucked at this very first challenge. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be quiet. But like Nick or Davey, none of them wouldn't step up.
Which is crazy. Do you think it had something to do with the fact that you guys were like the Davids going up against the Goliaths, and so they were like, oh, we're not going to beat them anyway? Do you think there was that intimidation factor? Like,
I mean, if it was, they never mentioned anything of that. But then, I mean, that could have been it. I mean, like I said, with Davey, like Davey will tell you in a heartbeat that he's not your typical athletic black guy. He'll tell you in a heartbeat. He's a blurred. You know what I mean? That sports was just not his thing. He'll tell you that, you know, and he's not kidding. He's not just saying it just to be saying it. So for Davey, I guess I have to understand it, because it's just not something he grew up doing. He wasn't that one. He grew up looking for lizards and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? He didn't grow up outside dribbling the basketball, what have you. And I mean, you got to respect that. Everybody's different, you know. For Nick, I'm not sure, but Nick's game was, Nick never wanted to put himself in the center. You know what I mean? Like he never wanted the target on him, you know? So that's why he never stepped up. He did the right thing, because when you on those challenges, those things tend to bite you in the ass when it don't work out in your favor.
Yep.
You know, so you gotta kind of, like for Alec, you gotta play it right. For Alec, that was solely why, and I told Alec that when I came into Ponderosa, the only reason you were voted out is because you stepped up for every single challenge. Everything, whether it was for challenge or for the immunity, you was the one from y'all's tribe that stepped up and took the lead on every freaking challenge. You were a threat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you're this young 24-year-old, you got all this fucking energy, You know what I mean? I'm 41 at the time, trying to keep up with your ass. Like you a threat. You a threat. You're me when I was that age. You know what I'm saying? And it's no way I can keep up with you. You got to go. Every chance I had at winning a reward, you basically came from behind and won the shit and took it right out of my hands. Like, no, I got to get rid of you. Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah.
And did you and Alec have any type of relationship? Because Alec was a weird one because it seemed like he really wanted to work with the Davids. And I don't know if you both talked about it before, but if we go all the way back, did you guys talk about when you actually came into the tribe after Natalia went home? When I was
actually, me and Alec was cool when I came in when Natalia went home because honestly, when we did the I don't know if anybody ever discussed this, when we did the snake puzzle when Alec was on the beam and they had to do the thing with the ball that went up the snake, and we won it first, right? Well, honestly, Elizabeth wanted us to blow that challenge. She literally wanted us to blow that challenge so that we could vote Alec out right then and there. Wow. So Elizabeth was a smart one, man. Elizabeth was a smart one. That's what I told her when I got to Ponderosa. Like you were on top of it. Like that was a main reason why I wanted to get you out, because you were working. She was working with everybody once we made merge. Like it was like, you got to go. You know what I mean? But yeah, me and Alec, we were cool. I literally told Alec, I said, Alec, if we lose, I'm telling you right now, Elizabeth wants you gone. Davey even told him the same thing, but we were working with Alec. It's just once we merged, again, man, once we merged, everything just went right back to David versus Goliath. Nobody wanted to quote unquote blur the lines. Everybody went back to their initial David versus Goliath.
And what I thought was really interesting too about what you, Davids, pulled off was you voted out the three strongest Goliaths without saying we're going to vote out the three strongest Goliaths. You never made that the reason. Mm-hmm. So Alec, who's sitting there going, okay, like maybe they'll keep me around because like they still want to work with me or whatever. It probably clicked in his head, but at the same time, you didn't vote out John because you're saying he's the strongest. You said you voted him out because he was Dan's right hand.
He was with Dan.
And you voted out Dan because he had the idol and you needed to play the nullifier and all that. So you were never using that as the reason. And all of a sudden you turn and you look and what, Davey's your biggest guy left on the island? Like that, like it was so well orchestrated to make the big guys go down. Because there was a point where I'm sitting there going, are we going to have like a final six that has John, Dan, and Alex somehow still in this game? Like, is John just going to somehow win this thing and nobody's going to know what's going on? Like, how is he doing this? And,
but I can honestly tell you, if it wasn't for me, Davey, and Nick, then you probably would have.
Exactly.
Because it was me, Davey, and Nick that made those three moves. So you probably would have.
Well, and so let's talk about that the boot of John. So the ones who actually voted for John, it was Christian,
Davey, Christian, and Nick. Davey, Christian, and Nick.
But did you know that was going to happen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Again, that's why everybody thinks that I was the only one that didn't want to tell Gabby stuff. Well, guess what? When Nick was the mastermind of it.
Okay.
But when we came up with it, they came to me and said, Karl, you vote for Angelina. We're going to tell Gabby to vote for Angelina. And the only reason why we want you to vote with Gabby is so Gabby don't freak out and think she was all by herself. Make sure you play it like you had no clue, Karl. You know what I mean? Like act it out like you didn't know, like you thought the vote was really supposed to be on Angelina. Like I was not the only person that was keeping Gabby out of the loop. You know what I'm saying? The whole time. But yeah, Nick was the mastermind on that.
Were you okay being the one to quote unquote vote incorrectly on that?
Oh yeah, I was fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah. It didn't bother me. Long as we knew who we wanted, it was either gonna be John or Angelina. You know, it was gonna be one of those two regardless. Because we knew, I think it was Nick. We knew Dan had an idol. Now we didn't know who he would play it for. We thought he would play it for John. Honestly.
Okay.
So it was like, well, if he plays it for John, Angelina goes home. It just made him look even more stupid because he played it for Angelina after he said that he would never burn one of his idols on her or this and that, whatever, you know. But it worked out in our favor, so it was cool.
And then the question, and this leads into the next vote, the question that so many people have asked is, you must have known that Dan had 2 idols. How did you know that? Did Kara tell you that? How did that happen?
Dan's game was sloppy, man. like first off, you just don't go blabbing about idols. You know what I mean? Like I never had an idol. So when I talked to them about the idol nullifier, that was totally different. I had to have talking to people that I trusted about the tool that I had in order to get intel. You know what I'm saying? But like when you have an idol, like that's sacred. Like you just don't go blabbering about that. But yeah, man, Dan told Kara everything. Let me tell y'all, Davey and Kara were like that.
Yeah.
People were telling Kara everything. I was amazed.
Like me and Kara was cool. Me and Kara had got cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Davey and Kara was like that. Like I was surprised when Kara turned on Davey. Like not to get off topic, but like when Kara voted with them and got me off, like Kara told me, I never got the chance to talk to her. But Kara said, Carl, if you would have told me it was Allison, see, we had told Kara, same as Gabby, we told him that it was Angelina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Kara said, Carl, if you would have told me it was Allison, now I don't know how true it is. Of course, everything's different after the fact. She was like, I would have voted with Allison. I told you I wanted to work with you. You know what I mean? So, but that's, neither here nor there. But anyways, as far as, like I say, I wasn't the only one keeping Gabby out of the loop. We all did it because we all knew. But the move on John was totally Nick's idea. The move on Dan, it was like we found out, we caught wind that he had another idol. And the reason, another one of the reasons why we caught wind is because he was on Tiva Beach with Gabby and Christian. Okay, so at one point, Gabby said that they all said that they were going to go and have a big idol search. You know what I mean? Well, Dan being Dan, he's not worried about going to an idol search. Well, everybody knows. Common sense tells you if I'm going to there's no way I'm going to let 4 people go off and search for an idol and I just lay here in the shelter.
Especially when they're giving you the okay.
Yeah.
Especially they're telling you can go look now, and he's, I'm not going to do it now.
Nah, exactly. So that right there, click, Christian smart, Gabby smart, Allison smart. Oh, well, he don't want to go look. He must already have the idol. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how the second idol thing with Dan came about, is because of Gabby and Christian being on the island with him. He thought Christian was just the brochacho, but they were literally paying attention. And it just worked out when we got Dan that night. Excuse me. It was crazy, man, because we were sitting there thinking, like, how are we gonna get him? Okay, Nick has this vote still, but everything literally has to be like perfect for just the vote still alone to work. We went back and forth that night because I'm like, okay, we can play the vote still. If that don't work, Christian still goes home. He still goes home. So me and Gabby batted. I'm like, the only sure way is if we can coax Dan, like whatever we got to do the rest of this day, talk to whatever Goliath we need to talk to get them to get it in Dan's mind that we gunning for his ass. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's going to play his idol. The only confusing part about it all was when Nick took Allison's vote. It was like,
did you know he was doing that, or is he just?
He did. He wanted. Yeah, he discussed it. He said it. He told us he was going to take Allison's vote, and he did it basically just to fuck with her head. Basically, literally.
That's so amazing.
Literally, that's why he did it. It was crazy.
I remember reading somewhere like Nick gave like 3 reasons why, and the main one was like, she's got thick skin and she'll probably think it's funny, so I'm just gonna mess with her. And I was like, that's insane.
And that was so not the case, because she was Gabby 2.0 in a sense. Like Allison was very an emotional one as well. You know what I mean? That's kind of why I think why her and Gabby clicked so much. They both were like, everything that took place, man, you would see them sitting on the beach and crying, and it's like, oh my God, you know what I mean? Like for me, I'm like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, man, just all this crying, like Yeah, I just give me a fucking beer already.
Which we'll get to the reward to end all
I,
rewards.
I know you coming to it.
We might have talked to you. It's funny, like, you heard all of like our favorite parts of your game like once you met us. So what was it? As soon as you walked in the bar, I was like, Karl, I'm buying you a beer right now. Like as soon as I made eye contact, that was it. That was like a life goal of mine there. But
I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, anytime.
Yeah.
I think Alec's mom is.
It's too early. If it wouldn't be so damn early, I'd drink one right now.
I know, right?
Too many last night.
I know. I got it's almost 11 here, so it's almost like reasonable. But yeah, so okay, I had a whole thing going there, and then I completely just lost it. Did we ever get to the bottom? We didn't get to the bottom of it, but who? So, I wanted to ask: would Kara have gotten votes if she had beaten Mike in the fire? And also, did you ever say who your final three would have been? I don't think you did.
If I went?
Yeah, if you what was your dream scenario for final three? And then if Kara beats Mike in that final four, did she get your vote? Because you just said you were closer with her. Davey was really close with her. What do you think would have happened there?
So you asking me if it was Kara, Nick, and Mike?
If it was Kara, Nick, and Angelina.
If it was Kara, Nick, and Angelina, no, I still vote for Nick.
And you think most people still would have, or?
Yeah, well, that I don't know, because now you're talking about the Goliaths, you know what I mean, and Kara. Like, I don't know, that would have been tough. I mean, you're talking about Alec, now at that point, I guess we have to ask ourselves, was Dan still bitter? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Where would Dan's vote have went? Like, honestly, I mean, was he still bitter? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that would have been a tough one. Like, who knows? I honestly don't know. I mean, Elizabeth played, Elizabeth was cool with Kara. You know what I'm saying? Davey and Nick were like that. I would like to say Davey still would have voted for Nick. You know what I mean? I know I still would have voted for Nick.
What was the relationship?
That would have been a tough one.
What was the relationship like between Gabby and Kara from your perspective? Because it seemed like Gabby really wanted to vote for a woman, at least from what she was saying, and kind of like her arc throughout the game was like, not being the woman who just follows the man, and like that's what she wanted to overcome. Do you think she like would have voted for Kara there? Because there's another vote from Nick that goes to Kara.
I don't know. I never really seen a connection between Kara and Gabby like that. Like everything that took place with Gabby and Kara was kind of sort of, in my opinion, from what I seen, was kind of sort of mediated through Allison. You know what I mean? Like Allison was that connecting piece. I never really seen Gabby and Kara interact of that nature like that. So I don't know that I can say that Gabby's vote would have went towards Kara, because I never really seen them connect on that level. Yeah.
All right, now let's hear. So if you were going to the final three, like what was your plan when you went out at 9? What were you thinking? Okay, this is who I want to go to the final three with, or who do you think you could have beaten?
Honestly, I really, guys, like, I'm being 100% honest. Like, it really didn't matter, but I can honestly say from my standpoint, and we discussed it. That's why now they could have been blowing smoke up my ass, but we totally discussed it. Me, Davey, and Nick said, if us three make it the final three with each other, may the best person win. That's how cool us three guys really are with one another. You know what I mean? Like literally, like I just talked to Nick yesterday for like an hour. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how cool we are. Like Miss Hazel literally, her and my wife text on a regular basis. Davey's mom, like literally, you know what I mean?
That's so cute.
Like we really, really connected. You know what I mean? So like for me, if I would have went with those two, which that was our plans in the game. Now, like I say, they could have been blowing smoke up my ass, but our plan was for us three to go to final three, and may the best one of us win.
And it literally seems like that would make sense, because with the 5 Davids that were left, obviously Gabby and Christian were very close. So for the 3 of you, see, and that's another reason why maybe Gabby was feeling a little bit, is she was saying to herself, out of this 5, I only have Christian. I'm not as tight with Karl, Davey, Nick, maybe. So maybe that's where like her mindset's coming from. Maybe that's where Christian is coming from a little bit. But it's funny like how that's the 3, and like that probably would be the best final 3 since China, right? I mean, that would be insane. So, if it would have been the 3 of you guys, because really the crazy part is you and Davey were kind of quiet early. You really were. And then all of a sudden, Davey plays that idol on Christian, and it's that whole thing. And now you've said everybody was acting. And then Davey is dancing on the beach while you and Nick are over finding that steal a vote. And that's all going on. And then that is executed perfectly. And like, I don't know if we would have seen a final three where so many people had made moves that were obvious, but also like gameplay related. Like it wasn't just what Angelina was trying to do at the end of the game which was whatever it was, or even when Wendell gave his idol to Laurel, that was more of a move to secure Laurel's vote than to secure the jury's vote. But I feel like the three of you would have been able to say, I played an idol nullifier, I played an idol to save Christian and really get the numbers on our side, and I played the steal a vote to get all the numbers on our side.
Right.
I feel like that would have just been like an insane argument going back and forth.
Yeah, because like all three of us had something that we could have argued about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we could have put out what we actually did. That's why I say like if Christian makes it, what does Christian say he done? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What does he say he done? Like Nick was able to say what he did. What would Gabby have been able to say she did? You know, I mean, for me, everybody wants to know what you done. It shows what you done. That's why everybody was like, well, why did you, when you played your item nullifier, why did you just go bing? You know what I mean? Like I never had to say anything. Like that could have went untold who played it. Like silent. But I'm like, why wouldn't I? I just played, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A new advantage in the game. Why would I want it to go unedited and no one knows who played it? You know what I mean? Like, no, that would be crazy. I want those people that's sitting over there on that jury to know that I did it. Everybody was what they call it. Everybody was jury pandering. I mean, come on, that's a part of it. You know what I'm saying? And that was part of it for me. But it's just, you know, you have to make moves, man. And I just don't see that nobody else was really making any moves. Once we merged, no other major moves were made other than the moves that me, Davey, and Nick made. No other move, no major move. Everything was basically just simple. Let's pick that person. Let's pick that person. I mean, it was all simple. You know, for me, it was no fun in it because it was just, let's just pick them apart one at a time. But it's no fun in that. You know,
you guys made it pretty damn fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. We all were scared. Okay, are the Davids going to pagong the Goliaths, and then the Goliaths were able to turn it around, and then Nick ends up winning. So we had three pagongings go back and forth here, but you know, it was one after the other. But all right, Alexa, do you want to talk about drunk reward, or do you have something else that you have?
I had one quick question, and then I want to get to that. I don't think Davey and Nick were blowing smoke up your ass because Nick was pissed when Davey went home. So clearly, it sounds like all three of you guys won.
And they were pissed when you went home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was hot. They were hot. So I mean, you know, like I said, I still to this day I told myself that that's what we ultimately wanted for the three of us. You know what I mean? And that's why I'm ecstatic and happy that Nick won it. I mean, one of my guys won it, you know, so I'm okay with it. I don't have a problem with it. I could have been sitting right there next to him and he won it and I still would feel the same way. Like I wouldn't have a problem with it at all.
Yeah. All right. So you get this reward and they have beer. And first of all, I do want to say, though, at the final 9-1, or final 11, I guess it was, when you had to sit out, sad Karl sitting on the bench because he wasn't going to get beer, is like one of my favorite images of all time. But then the next one, you do win the reward. And what did you slip up in this moment? Like, is this where did you like let loose too much? Like, what was going on?
That was all edit, man. That was totally all edit, man. Because it was like, Davey was drunker than I was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he fell off the boat. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like Kara and Mike was freaking wasted. Literally, all four of us was wasted. Literally. I'm not saying that I was better off than they were. We were all wasted, honestly. And when I talked with Kara, it's because me and Kara, of course, had made a connection when we're on Vuku. You know what I'm saying? Me and Kara had talked all the time. Like I told you earlier, all I had to do was tell Kara the right name, and it would have been different. But I chose to go along with Nick and Davey and Christian, and we said Angelina. Of course, everybody was using Angelina's name as a freaking vote, like every single vote. You know what I mean? So it worked. Lord knows how many times I went with the same thing. Just like that day, this was reward. Okay, so mind you, what people need to realize, because they're trying to say drunk Karl cost himself the game, whatever, right? Reward is a totally different day than immunity. You see what I'm saying? So all of that took place when they seen me talking, laying in a hammock. That took place a day later than
You're
reward.
hungover at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm not drunk. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a totally different day. Like, no, it's not the same. People, like, I'm not standing there, Gabby, you gonna do this? No, it was a totally freaking day. Like, that beer is gone. I done pissed that out in the ocean several times. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. But yeah, that's the only thing. Like, they tried to make it seem like I'm just this drunk guy. No, I'm a 42-year-old man that get up, go to work. I love drinking beer. What the hell's wrong with it? You know what I'm saying? I got a chance to get beer on Survivor. Of course, I'm gonna take advantage of it and enjoy it. How many people have gotten that opportunity? You know what I'm saying? But no, I was not. None of my moves didn't come from me drinking. My demise wasn't from me drinking. You know what I mean? Point blank, period. When I didn't tell Gabby about the okay. When I didn't tell, my battery just getting dead. When I didn't tell Gabby about the vote, I wasn't the only one. Nick and Davey were the same way. If you remember, Nick stood up there and said, Karl and us, you know what I'm saying, want Allison. He didn't say, oh, only Karl wants to vote Allison, so we're going to do what Karl wants. No, he didn't say that. You know what I mean? It was Karl and us. Now, maybe it's because of the way he worded it, what have you. But again, every single move we made as the Davids, we made them together. We collaborated together. It was never just one person saying this is what we're going to do and that's that. And that's kind of sort of, the edit they gave me, which is cool. I mean, it is what it is at this point. But I always confided in my alliance to make sure what we were doing, that we were all on the same page with it.
Gotcha.
So the whole he laying in the hammock and people coming to him and this and that, it's a bunch of bullshit. I mean, but
did they kiss the Godfather ring though? That didn't happen.
Actually, I don't even wear a ring. I just got a tattoo on my ring.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So after the game, or a couple months ago, you finished watching this season. How do you feel about how you were portrayed? Because you have like the fun, like being the drunk guy is funny, but obviously that is only a very, very small portion of what you got. Like you were quiet and then you were the villain. How do you feel about how you were portrayed?
It's cool, but then it's not cool at the same time because again, like I just explained, everybody think your game got blowed up because you were drinking. You know what I'm saying? Because the average person that watched the show, like for instance, all my friends and family that never ever watched Survivor ever in their life that watched because I was on it, you know what I mean? Like from what they show, they think, oh well, man, you messed up by drinking. You know what I'm saying? Like that's so not the case. Like, you know what I'm saying? When I go into the refineries that I go to and I know all the guys in there, they were like, man, you was on a roll, man, until you got those damn beers in you. And it's like, no, like that, like I'm thinking like, no, that's a totally different day. You know what I mean? So I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. But I mean, come on, man. It's TV. If it made good for TV, then it is what it is.
I told you, and I told the entire podcast. I said everything. I said, look, if there's one person who I want to play again, it's drunk Karl, because it was so entertaining. That episode was so good, and it wasn't the Karl ruined his game, because Alexa and I talk about this all the time. The edit is so heavy. I mean, just like I'm sure there's plenty of time they could have shown Gabby not crying, and they just decided to show her crying. I'm sure there's plenty of time.
And Gabby being aware of Christian's girlfriend.
Aware of Christian's girlfriend. I mean, my God. I mean, everybody. She knew on day one. She'll tell you that.
She did.
But here's the thing. It's like, we watch this and I'm sitting there and I'm going, damn, this is like amazing. This is hilarious. And it was one of those where like it just kept building to that. It was like when Brett had it back in Millennials vs. Gen X, where it was like, Brett is like, oh my God, there's beer. Oh my God, there's beer. And he couldn't get to the beer. And then he finally gets there and he's like, oh my, and he's partying in that pool.
Right.
And it was like, the shame for you was that you went home that episode.
Right.
Because if you don't go home, I bet that you're getting a similar thing to what Brett got, because they played it up so much before that. It was like, Karl, there's beer, and everybody like hitting you and everything. And then you're pouting over on the bench. And I think that it was just the timing. Brett didn't go home his week. So Brett's the fun loving, whatever. He got hammered and he survived. You were the guy who had to go home that night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've talked to Brett about that, you know what I mean? So I totally get what you're saying. He like, you know, it's just, you know, I mean, they got to do what they have to do for TV, man. It's just, you know, you gotta have thick skin and just roll with it. I'm cool with it. Put me back on. I guarantee you, they have beer, I'm gonna fucking drink beer again. I mean, it's just that simple. I'm gonna enjoy it, man. That's a once in a lifetime thing. You know what I'm saying? There's people that are dying to be on that show. It's once in a lifetime. And the messed up, the crazy part about it is, like, I never applied.
So that was
gonna be the next question. Wait, first, what's your battery at? Do you need to plug in or something?
Oh, yeah.
Just in case.
I'm at 16%.
68?
16.
Oh, 16. Okay, so that was the 20% warning before.
Or what I could do is, because I called off the phone, I can call off my other phone. If that would help, would that mess up things?
I don't know.
That's correct. I don't know. Is there a charger? Like, could you stand it up on a?
Because you could even take your headphones out for a little while you charge it. Just a little.
Say if I charge, then I got to unplug the headset.
Stupid iPhone.
Gotta love it.
Right? Yeah. I hate
thanks, Apple.
That's the only thing I do not like about that.
It's awful.
Yeah, let's see if you have any reverb if you take the headphones out.
Because sometimes what'll happen is it's not normally a problem. Then all of a sudden you'll hear yourself say something. You go, holy crap, and then you're hearing yourself talk.
All right.
Okay.
You're getting a good tour of your ceiling.
I'm sorry.
No, I like it.
No, it's fine.
It's good.
I just unplugged. How is that?
Beautiful. How do you sound?
It's fine.
Can you still hear me good?
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So
if you start hearing yourself back, just plug back in, and we can always cut it soon. Anyway, we're almost at 2 hours. So
we always ask people, how did you get on? So you didn't even apply. I didn't realize that. Talk to us through your whole process.
Yeah, no, man, it was crazy, man. I've been watching this show for like the last 16 years. Like, I'm no super fan. Don't get it twisted. I don't sit there and take notes. I can't remember everybody from whatever season they were on. None of that. But I've watched it for 16 years. Haven't missed a season. So I'm sitting on the couch, and it's like, I'm always telling my wife and my daughters, man, I could go do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could go do that. Never once did I ever send a video or anything to CBS. I get a freaking direct message to my Instagram. And it just went from there.
You don't know anyone.
I flew to LA for a final casting in the middle of February. Did that. I was there for 5 days. Wow. Flew back home. 2 weeks later, they called. Now at this point we're in March. So like we're in March now. They call, hey, they loved you. You've been picked to be on the show. Are you prepared to leave March the 27th? I look at my wife like, holy crap. Like, this is real. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have much time.
Yeah.
You
know?
No. I chat with her, and she's like, babe, go do it. I mean, it's something you always said, like, this is heaven sent for you. Like you've always talked about it. You know what I mean? And for it to just fall in your lap like that, like, she was like, you can't pass it up. And I'm like, damn, all these bills, we got mortgage to pay. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be making any money. When I park my truck, if my truck don't move, it don't make no money, all of those things are running through my head. So I'm like, freak, what am I going to do, I literally went to the company that I leased on to. I've leased my truck on to the same company for the last 13, 14 years. So I've never, I knew that wouldn't be an issue. You know what I mean? I knew they wouldn't have a problem. Of course, I couldn't really tell them what was taking place because of the whole NDA stuff. You know what I mean? So it was like, I'm like, man, how the hell do I pull all this off? But I managed, you know what I mean? And came and paid the mortgage up for like 2-3 months in advance, stuff like that. Left, and flew out there and it happened.
What do you think that they saw in you on your Instagram or in you that drew them to you? Because I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to go steal your pictures and post them as my own.
I honestly think it was the fact that they've never had a black cowboy on the show before.
Sure.
I think that's what it was. You know what I mean? To be 100% honest.
And were you friends with anyone else that might have got you into like their radar, or did they just somehow find Karl Boudreau on there?
Never knew a single person.
Wow.
Never knew nothing about no casting, no none of that. Never knew nothing. Literally sat when they hit me up. I had to make a video, obviously. I literally sat right here on my fireplace, and my wife sat in front of me, and I made a video. Just literally sitting on my fireplace, just talking into the camera. Like, I didn't do nothing special, no nothing. I just literally talked into the camera, talked shit, told them about me, you know what I mean? Didn't sugarcoat anything, and they loved it.
Well, and at the end of the day, they want a storyteller.
When I went to casting, like, I sat in front of Jeff, and whoever all those other people were, and I just like I'm talking to you. I talked straightforward to him. I cursed. I didn't sugarcoat anything. I didn't give them no big character, no nothing. I was me. They asked me a question. I answered the fucking question. I mean, literally, like there was this one guy, he would ask me a question, and that's exactly how I would answer it. You know what I mean? Like, no, I don't fucking know. I do this for, like one guy goes, why do you got on that cowboy hat? Is that just for show? And I'm like, fuck no. And literally, I told him, fuck no, it ain't just for show. You know what I mean? I love my cowboy attire. You know what I'm saying? Like, am I dressed like that every day? No. But do I ride horses and do that type of shit, when I get a chance? Yeah, absolutely. It's not my everyday. You're not going to catch me in boots and jeans every day. You're not. You're going to catch me casual in tennis shoes, what have you, or dressed up like you guys see me down there. But when I'm going to do my stuff with my horse, then that's just how I roll. You know what I'm saying? But I told them that in my video. I said I'm more or less a urban cowboy. You know what I mean? Yeah. I live in a big city, but I love the whole cowboy aspect of life. I mean, just that simple, and that's what I told them.
That's
so
awesome.
you decide, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm assuming you have 2 or 3 weeks to prep. How did you prepare for this?
I didn't.
No workout, no starving. You just hung out.
I didn't do anything. I told you I quit smoking like 3 days before I went. Like I did no preparation at all. What can you prepare for?
Yeah.
Like honestly, what can you prepare for when you're talking about being on a freaking beach with 10 to 20 different individuals? I can't prepare for what's going through your head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like all the physical stuff, I wasn't really worried about that. I pretty much stayed, doing stuff as far as that goes, but I don't think there's nothing you can prepare for. Take John for instance. John is, you know what I'm saying? Like huge. John was freaking hurting.
Yeah.
He was hurting. Like John was the one trying to sneak whatever piece of food we might have had around camp because he was hurting.
Yeah.
So
well, and
like, it's nothing you can prepare for, honestly, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think we've heard that from other people. I think we had Brendan from last season on, and he even said like, I think did he pass out early in the game, Alexa? Is that right? He did something like that where he was like, I'm feeling really lightheaded when I stand up fast. That's what it was. And the guy goes, well, don't stand up fast then. Because there's a guy who doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. Cole Metters goes down in 35, goes down and hits his head. Like those types of people fall apart because they're so used to it. And then you get the person who comes on with, the dad bod, I guess you could call it. And it's just like, here I am. Like, I'm ready to go.
My dad bod and all.
You know what I mean? They're all muscle. They don't have no fat reserve. Like they don't have nothing for your body to start eating off of. You know what I mean? it's not. I mean, of course, we all know that that water is stored in fat. All you need is water to survive. To be honest, you know what I
Yeah.
mean.
Mhm.
But if you all muscle, that means you don't have no freaking water in your system. You
Yeah.
know, it's yeah, man. It's but like he was hurting, like John was hurting, big time, big time. But yeah, it's just in my opinion, man. It's nothing you can really prepare for. I mean, I might have got in the backyard and done some jump ropes or tried to jog around the block a few times just to try to get my win because I knew I was a smoker. You know what I'm saying? But
Mhm.
other than that, it's and preparations that's overrated.
Were you surprised you didn't have like nicotine withdrawals or like anything really crazy? Because you didn't seem like you really. When I heard that you had quit smoking, I was like, really? Because you don't like,
Yeah.
obviously everybody remembers Shane Powers, but there's other people who have stopped smoking,
Yeah.
and you have your moments where you really lose your shit. Like you didn't really have that moment.
Nah, it didn't. I was surprised as well, man, because it didn't. It really didn't bother me at all. And that was the first time. I mean, I was just as shocked as anybody else was because I literally stopped cold turkey and it did not bother me one single bit.
That's
Crazy.
amazing. That's really great.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Now, like a
still
dumbass,
are you
I
back to
started
smoking or?
again. Like
Yeah.
a dummy, I started smoking.
There you go.
Yeah. But
That's
I mean, at least I know I can quit whenever I want to, though. That's the good thing. You know what
There
I'm
you
saying?
go.
I just love to. When I'm at the bar, man, I just, I'm sitting there drinking a beer or shooting pool with the fellas. You know what I mean? I like to either a cigar or a cigarette. You know what I'm saying? I don't always have a freaking cigar in my pocket, so I just keep me some cigars. You know what I mean?
I know you got to have a cigar in your pocket all the time.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's kind of hard to do. You know what I mean? Keep that long ass cigar in your pocket at all times. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
All right, what else? What else do we have here, Lex? I mean, I missed like the little bit that you guys talked about. That
I have like two. I have one question for me, and I'm looking on our Instagram. Someone had a really funny question. I want to, Carl. I want to give you the floor because you mentioned a couple times that you really like Angelina, like whatever, and Angelina was just ruined on the internet this season, and whether or not people liked her, it was just abhorrent. And so I really want to hear from you. What was Angelina like? Just talk us and talk our fans through that because it bothers us how much people just bully these people on the internet. And so I'd really like to hear that.
It's really unfortunate for her, man, because honestly, like Angelina is one of the best ladies that you can ever meet. Like me and my wife I just met Angelina from this show, mind you. You know what I mean? Like I've already flown to LA to the California area and stayed at Angelina's house for a week. You know what I mean? Like she opened her house to me and my wife. You know what I'm saying? Like Angelina is the coolest. Like we'll give you the shirt off of her back, the jacket off of her back.
There it is. There it is.
Literally. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of person she is. Like all she's about is helping others, man. Like she's so freaking smart. Like so freaking smart. To see her being treated that way from the internet and social media and all of that, it really sucks because I know where her heart lies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not about like the whole thing. She's not evil. She's not any of that. I mean, what people fail to realize is we were playing a freaking game. Nobody like that in the real world. You have to be some type of person that you're not in this game if you're playing this game to win. You know what I mean? Like you cannot win this game if you don't set your morals and standards aside. It'll never freaking happen for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Like period. So for instance, what you got on TV, that was game. That was all gameplay, and most of it was really, in my opinion, most of it was really brought out into a bigger light because of the way the edit showed it. You know what I mean? Like half the stuff that took place, like for instance, guys, day one when we got on that boat and y'all seen Angelina laughing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? Remember that? Day one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't even take place like that. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm.
Her laughing was at something else with her and Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They put that together to make it look like when we were climbing over the rail, getting on that boat, day one, she's like, oh, the poor day, those poor guys.
Mhm.
It happened like that. That's
Yeah.
edited. It's
Yeah.
edited. You know what I mean? She was edited horribly. She was edited horribly, and I hate that for her, man, because she's literally she's one of the best. She's one of my favorites. Like I plan to stay in touch with everybody because that's how close this cast was. Like literally, like all we have a group. You know what I mean? But
Mhm.
I can honestly tell you, Angelina and Kara, those two I talk to on a regular basis. Like those two are, I don't, no disrespect to none of the other ladies or anything of that nature, but like Angelina and Kara, those are my girls, literally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kara's amazing.
Kara's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's funny because like with Angelina, Adam was a friend of ours or a friend of mine. He met Alexa finally, but he was like a friend of mine back like before he even went on, and like we at least he followed our podcast, and then like we've hung out in LA a couple times, and I know him and I know how much he loves Angelina. So when I'm sitting there, I'm going like, what? This does not add up at all because I that's not the type of person Adam's going to surround himself with. And then like we met Angelina at the whatever the last bar we were at. That's where I really talked to Angelina. I went up to her and I was like, you could win the game if you played again. It's just about knowing. Like I talked to Angelina's parents, and her parents were like we know she's not going to get any votes, but like she's never really been like that big in a Survivor.
Yeah.
Her parents were upset about it, like literally, rightfully so, because they know what type of woman they raised. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about somebody that went to Yale and Stanford. I mean, come on, man, for her to get a rap like that ain't cool. That's the one bad thing about it. I have to say is, how people perceive you after watching you on this show. You know what I mean? Like, there's some evil ass people out there, man. Some evil ass people.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cool. It's like we all played a game. Like respect us for the game we played, but don't think that that's who I am in real life. And that's not who Angelina is. It's not. It's just not. It's just not how it is. Like everybody thought Alec was a scumbag. Like Alec is super.
Alec's
cool.
the man.
Alec's amazing.
Cool. Like I've chilled with him in Kara's place in San Diego. You know what I'm saying? Hell, Adam Klein was at Angelina's when I stayed there, so I got to know him. Man, it's just these people, man.
That's the crazy part is like I got to like be around this now since season 30, and like you just get to meet every time you meet anybody. Mm-hmm. They're so nice, and there's going to be some people who don't like us or don't like the podcast or maybe don't like your personality. That's going to happen. But everybody's putting their best foot forward to be as nice as possible, or at least like even like we're talking to you at the bar, and I'm like I said it to you. I'm like, this is a guy I could like totally just like go watch Sunday football with and like sit at a bar. Like that's what people don't understand is like Karl's not some dickhead, and like then you talk to Alec, and here's Alec who's like seriously, he walks up to you and he just smiles at you instantly. You're just like, oh my god, this guy's just whatever he says next doesn't matter.
Like literally. Alec is so full of life. Like, walk and talk with you. I gotta let the dog out so I can feed the dog. But like he's so full on life, man. That's the one thing I love about Alec. Is he's just enjoying it. You know what I mean? And for him and Kara to, like, come on, girl, come on. Yeah, so for him and Kara to be dating now and finally being able to, like it's awesome because those two together is so crazy. Like there's so much fun. You know what I mean? Like if I was young like them again, like I would want to just base shit like just like they are, man. They're having so much fun together.
Yeah.
Like, show y'all my girl. That's my girl.
Oh, hi. Oh, what a cutie.
Yeah. But yeah, man, but everybody literally from the show, everybody's awesome, man. Like awesome. Literally.
And that's the other thing too. And I mean, I guess we can kind of spoil it, but like we've been reaching out to Alec and Kara to try to set up some stuff in the future, and we've pretty much almost got it locked down for both of them. To come on and do a tell-all like this. And the thing is, like, I was, Alexa and I, before this season started, it was like, screw these guys. Like, why did they do this? When we do our bootless game, I put them at 20 and 19 because I'm like, screw it. They don't, like, why would you go and do this? And then you talk to them and you're just like, they didn't, like, they don't, it's that whole perception of what everybody wants it to believe, what everybody assumes. And it's like, then you meet these people and you're like, man, it's like one mistake that happened and one thing that got blown out of proportion and not even in context, and it's just crazy.
At all. Like, literally, man, we were all upset that Alec couldn't come to the finale.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, we tried hashtag unban Alec. We tried everything. I mean, we tried all signing a petition. We tried everything because we knew, you know what I mean, that it was just an honest, like, this was a guy that was happy. We had just gotten back home. You know what I mean? He's dating this beautiful young lady. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was fucking excited. I mean, come on, Phil. You see Kara. I mean, you know what I'm saying? She's beautiful. Even on the island, Kara was beautiful. It's like, how the fuck do you do it? You know what I mean? Like, how do you stay so beautiful constantly? You know what I'm saying? So he was excited, man, and he posted that picture and he just said, fuck it. You know what I mean? He was not talking about nothing else other than, like we're doing this. Like, we're taking this picture. Fuck it. You know what I mean? But they took it totally out of proportion. Yeah, what was crazy, man, I guess I can't. They gave me all my money now, so it is what it is. What was crazy is, like, I had commented on the post. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And when I commented on the post, I immediately got a phone call and was like, take it off, like, delete it, take it off, take it off, take it off, like, immediately. Like,
what'd you comment?
I don't remember what I might have said, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
But they immediately, like, take it off. Like, if you don't like it's already been snatched. CBS has already gotten a hold to it. Like, you don't want to be involved in it. You know what I'm saying? You could be breaking your NDA. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't go way out here for, you know what I mean? Oh yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy.
That's silly.
It was
That's
crazy.
insane.
I'm sure y'all fans how real of a person I really am. We can keep talking.
No, that is crazy, and it's a shame. And you could tell when you talk to Alec, and I look forward to getting him on this show, and for at least our fans to hear it, because you feel for him because he is a huge fan of the show, and he did apply. And like, I was talking to his family, I was talking to his mom and his sister, and his grandma ripped a sliced pizza out of my hand, but that's what it is, But you talk to these
Grandma Jones, she's the best.
She's
awesome.
I went home hungry, but she's the best. No, she's hilarious. But like, his whole family is so positive and so upbeat, and like, you can tell, like, it sucks for everyone that this happened. And like, some people, you might say to yourself, that's bullshit. They don't mean what they're saying. Like, he comes out and if he does his Instagram thing and it's, hey, this is what happened, and I didn't even mean it like that. And some people, you say that's bullshit. You meet Alec, you talk to Alec, and you say, nah, he really this is just a mistake. It was an oversight. It was a whatever.
Exactly. And that's all it was. That's totally all it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was unfortunate for his family because, like you said, Alec is a huge fan of the show. You know what I mean? He applied. He went to go do this, and for his family to be able to go, on that journey with him. Like, I met Alec's mom when my wife came to Ponderosa. That was my first time meeting her, and like they were so cool. Like, I went to his house. I went to his grandmother's house. Like, man, we've done so much. Like, before the show even dropped, like, we were all hanging out with one another. You know what I mean? We all flew to New Orleans, hung out in New Orleans for the weekend. You know what I mean? Like, I surprised Davey. I literally flew to San Diego and surprise Davey for his birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Like, that's how close we're literally like a family, man. And it really hurted that his parents weren't able to go to the finale and enjoy that. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like Jeff told us, you know, it's just something they had to do, because if they give any one person a break with social media now, man, it's like it's not slowing down. You know what I mean? It's only getting bigger. So they had to stay on top of what they were doing, you know, so that the future people that play the game know that, look, this is something we will not tolerate. You know, that's basically what it came down to. And Alec understood that. You know what I mean? It was just unfortunate.
Yeah, because that's something you have to do, because I think you could get into a situation where if you let that go, then other people will break it and say, well, you let Alec do it. And you kind of need to set the precedent at some point, which it's a shame it's Alec, and it's a shame, you know, it's a shame how it went down. But you do have to kind of set the precedent. Otherwise, like, it could get out of control because, you know, like you said, social media is not going anywhere. It's just going to keep getting crazier. So
it ain't going nowhere. No. Like, period. And that was my thought. Like how are they going to do it? Let's see. Wait a minute. Okay. How are they going to do it in the future? You know what I mean? They're going to have to start evolving and adapting to it, because it ain't the younger generation. That's all they deal with is social media. You know, like I can make you laugh real quick. Like I'll call Davey won't answer. He'll text me and he's like, Karl, you know I like to text. And I'm like, bro, I'm not a texter. Like, I want to talk. You know what I mean? Like, I can't be sitting there. I'm not fixing to sit there and be typing all of that crap. I can tell you in 5 seconds and be done with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's just where they are. You know, my daughters are the same way. And I'm like, don't you text me and ask me for nothing. You better pick up the phone and call me. You know, like, but it's only going to get bigger and bigger. So CBS, SEG, I mean, whoever's running it, they're gonna eventually have to adapt to it, you know.
And not to get completely sidetracked now, but I hope that it doesn't turn into this whole thing like we saw what was like kind of attempted at Jessica at the beginning of the season, but didn't really happen. Where like now all of a sudden we start going back to every freaking thing that has been said and all that. Like I just feel like I hope that doesn't become the norm. And like Jessica was unfortunately the first person to have that come up where, you know, she's the youngest player at the time. Now she is the youngest person who's ever played Survivor. I know that there's been younger players who have played, but she is the youngest age-wise as of today in 2018. You know, so like, well, because like Will Wall's older than her now, and Will Wall was the youngest. So Jessica is the youngest person really in this Survivor community. And when that's the case, her whole life has been on social media, and nobody's telling you back then that if you're tweeting certain things, this is going to look bad for you in 10 years, because nobody knows how bad that's going to be for you in 10 years. You know, and you know, so I hope that doesn't start to be, I mean, it's bad enough that when people get off the show, they get the shit kicked out of them. Hopefully it doesn't turn into, as soon as they're announced as being on the show, everybody gets the living shit kicked out of them too. Because we saw it with 2 people this year, and really Kara was unfortunately like a victim of circumstance there, where she was kind of the third who kind of had to deal with it. It's crazy stuff. But anyway, now that we've gone there.
I've looking through all of our Instagram questions, and pretty much all of them have been answered. But this is a very important one. Someone asks, where did you get that sick velvet blazer that you wore at the pre-party? And I had to look through some pictures to remember what he was talking about. But this guy, like, clearly loves your blazer. Where did you get that?
What's crazy, man, is I wanted to wear that blazer on finale night.
It would have been awesome.
They wouldn't let me wear it because Davey already had the similar color, you know, and they try to, you know, not have too many of the same colors. But I can honestly tell you that my dear, lovely wife picked that blazer out for me. We were in the mall. Let's see. Am I back? Okay, sorry about that.
No,
we were at the mall, and to make a long story short, that blazer came from Macy's.
Wow.
Macy's. All right, you heard it here first, people.
Macy's. Go to Macy's.
Go to Macy's and buy the velvet sweat.
That's
amazing.
That's going to be my dad's Christmas present.
I looked at it, whoever gets it, you ain't gonna look as fresh as I looked at it.
He looks good, people. He looks damn good.
And for anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, we've already said that later on this afternoon we're going to end up posting on Instagram the photo of Gina, you, Alexa, and I, and we'll post that picture, and you'll get to see that, especially next to like me, who's wearing like this crappy Henley that I probably bought H&M for like $5. So yeah, I'm standing there, and Carl's like trying to get away from me. It's a great photo.
No, man, come on, man.
I'm just kidding, man.
You know, I enjoyed hanging out with y'all, man. Like I was stoked to meet you guys, man. Like I told you, y'all was my favorite podcast, man. Like I wasn't just blowing smoke up y'all's ass, man. Like I enjoy y'all's podcast. Like before this show, I never listened to podcasts. Literally, never.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And as I got on it and started listening, you know, and then my wife is who found y'all's podcast, and she was like, "Babe, you gotta listen to these guys. Like they are the coolest." You know what I mean? And it just went from there. But I dig y'all's podcast.
We appreciate that. Like. Yeah. Crazy. It's funny how it's like the family members who end up telling the survivors because like I know Gabby's mom was a huge fan of us. Alec's mom knew who we were. Like it's funny when that happens because I think a lot of the survivors are almost scared, not even scared, but they don't want to look at it anymore. They don't want to hear it anymore because most of it is so negative, and like we try to keep it positive. I mean, yeah, there were things that Angelina did on the island where when I'm watching it, I'm going, "Who is this monster? Like, what is going on?" But I'm trying not to be like Angelina is a like. There's a difference, you know.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I totally understand what you're saying. Yeah. But I mean, you know, it doesn't bother me, man. I can listen to the negativity because, you know, for me, it's like you don't even know me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you know
what
the
you're
truth.
saying about me doesn't matter to me because you don't know me. You know, so it doesn't.
But when it's good, it matters, right?
You know. I mean, when it's good, it's cool. It's like okay, so somebody else thinks highly of me. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the negative stuff, I just let it be.
And I was talking to somebody at the finale after party, one of the survivors, I forget who it was, and they were saying how like the Reddit trolls really bother them, and I was like, you don't understand though, like they might be like really talking crap to you, but like you have to understand you're living their dream, and they are so jealous of you, and like they're talking about you, you don't even know that they're like, I always say to Alexa, I'm like they're like termites, like they don't know. They are non-existent to you. Like they're nothing. They're just trying to bring you down. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And it's like if you can look at it through that, you obviously have a very thick skin, which probably, I mean, you're a little bit older too, so it's like maybe that helps, but a little more comfortable with like maybe who you are. But I think that's what a lot of people have to look at is like, you're living the dream of every single one of those Reddit survivor people or every single person on the internet who's ripping you apart. They're watching and they're wishing that they were in your situation. And that's the sadness is that's what people do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I tell my wife that all the time, when I hear the negative stuff and I'm sitting there or they're sitting there and they're trying to dissect your gameplay and, oh, he should have did this and he should have did that. And I sit there and I'm like, well, I tell you what, you get off your couch and you go out there and do it. And then come talk to me. You know what I mean? Like it's easy being an armchair quarterback. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You go do it, then you come talk to me. And I guarantee you, once you step foot on that island, you're gonna see it totally different. Like that's just what it is. It's just like we can sit there like today. I can't wait till the football games come on. Yeah, I'm gonna sit there and say, oh no, he should have threw it there. And it's easy for me to say. I'm not on that field. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with Survivor. It's like it's easy for you to say I shouldn't have been mean to Gabby or I should have made this move. That's easy for anybody to say until you're put in that situation.
Yeah.
Just that simple.
There you go.
I just think your wife has some good looks. She got you that blazer and she got you onto this podcast. I think she's got some good instincts.
I got some stuff I want to say to you, but we're gonna do that off air.
Oh, there we go. All right, that sounds good.
I ain't gonna do you like that, but I got something I want to tell you, Alexa, off air.
All right,
God.
let's do it.
At least I'm off the hook. I'm feeling better now. All right, well, Carl, we're at like 2 hours and 15 minutes. You wanna like, you got any like last words that you wanna throw at anybody? Now I got to get to this off air thing because I got to hear.
Yeah, I am having a meltdown.
So let's. If you have any like last words to the fans, to your fans, to your haters, anything.
Yeah, man. No, literally, man. Just keep watching the show. You know what I'm saying? Keep supporting it. It's a beautiful thing. If you're trying to get on, you know what I mean? Like I say, for me, it was a blessing. It fell in my lap. But if you're that person that's sending in audition tapes, whatever, you know, don't give up. Just keep sending them in. Be yourself on your tapes. You know what I mean? And hopefully you get picked one day. I mean, it's just that simple. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, don't give up. You know. I mean, if you just stay consistent, eventually it'll happen for you. And then I can sit back and talk about how your gameplay works.
There you go.
There it is.
Yeah, no, man. But yeah, if you wanna follow me on Twitter, of course, you know my Twitter handle is at Godfather Karl. You know what I'm saying? And my Instagram is cboudreaux76. You know what I mean? Follow me, hit me up. Have a good time. Message me. I'm cool. I talk back to you in a DM or whatever. You know, I'm not that type of guy that's think I'm above anybody else. You know what I mean? None of that. So you got any questions, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and hey, let's chop it up. If I can answer your question, I'll be more than happy to answer.
There you go. And I will say that if Karl is willing to talk to you, talk to Karl, because Karl's the man. Karl, you know, anything you can talk to Karl about, it's going to be a good time. So.
Oh yeah. If you ever in Houston, let's hook up. We damn sure go have a beer together.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Alexa, you wanna wrap us up now? We got the.
Karl, that was amazing. We would love to have you back on again. As we alluded to, we're looking to have Alec and Kara within the next couple weeks. We're still ironing out one of those dates, but we'll be back within the next week or so. In the meantime, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if we don't talk to you guys beforehand, have a happy New Year.
Bing.
Bing.